What's going on, boys and girls? Today we're opening up our new LG NanoCell TV using AI thin-Q technology, whatever the hell that means. This is an LG display. This is a 55-inch model. They also make a 65-inch, like a 78-inch, like an 86-inch, which is sort of strange denominations. But this is our new TV. We're going to be using this. I brought my PC back downstairs. We're going to try some HDR gaming on it. We're going to try some Dolby Vision. And we're going to go ahead and try some 4K HDR Blu-ray playback also and see if this is going to surpass my previous experience with my Samsung QLED over there, which is kind of an entry-level model. I think there's the Q60F, I think, which is like an entry-level 49.5 inch. This is 55 inch. It's not a huge amount bigger, but it is bigger. And like I say, this has the nanocrystal display, which is, or like, nanocrystal coating over the display, which is like my ultra-wide monitor that I reviewed before, which acts sort of like QLED but in reverse, whereas QLED is a backlight. This is a coating over the display that apparently filters out some properties of light, thus enhancing color overall. So it has that. It has full array local dimming, as opposed to the previous generation, which supposedly just had kind of a lesser form of local dimming. But this will supposedly make blacks super black because it's actively dimming those areas, while colors and bright lights and so forth will be shown to the forefront, thus creating better contrast. It supposedly can achieve greater than 1,000 nits of brightness. I think it was like 1,060, they said, is what they were getting out of it. So that's cool. Has, like I say, so HDR 1000 plus, and Dolby Vision is supported by this display as well. So we should be able to try some different things. Like I mentioned earlier today, I did a quick little blurb video mentioning that we were going to have test out Mass Effect Andromeda, because it supports both HDR as well as Dolby Vision. And since supposedly I've not been able to get HDR to work with that game because it supposedly doesn't have support for it anymore, I can at least see if Dolby Vision might work with it. So we have some options to play around with. I also purchased Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't think that has HDR support. I need to do a little bit more research on it, but I couldn't find an option to enable it while it was connected to my monitor upstairs, and that is an HDR-capable monitor, albeit not HDR 1000, but there was no HDR option in the game that I could find. So either it doesn't support it or I haven't figured out how to turn it on yet. But it looks really good on my ultra-wide. I'm going to see how it runs on this just for fun, whether HDR works or not. It'll probably still look pretty good on here. But give me a minute, I'll get the box open. We'll see what the accessories are that are included. Then I will get it connected and set it up over there on my entertainment center. Like I say, for now, I've just got the Samsung set off to the side. I may wall mount that in my kitchen or something as like something to watch while I'm having dinner, or I may just see if somebody wants to buy it for like 400 bucks or something. But give me a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got all of our accessories out of the box. We've got a remote control, comes with batteries. That's nice, a lot of times they don't. And a little instruction manual on how to use the remote control. Some various paraphernalia like warranty services and probably an easy setup guide, that sort of thing. Things people probably don't really need, but my parents would need it because they don't play with electronics. Ha ha ha. We've got our stand here, which clearly is meant to connect to the back of the display, something like so. This is a separate part. I think this is for cable management kind of thing. But yeah, that just fits right in there nicely. And then you screw it into position. There's 4 large screws that come with it. Looks like there's our power outlet. We've got our, kind of hard to see. Well, there's a USB input there, which is probably for updating firmware and whatnot. This is the audio jack, I guess, for like a standard audio. There's a digital and audio out. So audio in, audio out. Got a LAN port in case you don't want to hook up to Wi-Fi, I guess. There's cable coax input, lots of HDMI, and another USB input there. So I guess if you wanted to watch movies from a USB source. In fact, there's a couple USB ports. So it looks like there's 4 HDMI, and a couple USB inputs there as well. So there's 3 total USBs, 4 HDMIs, power, and stand connection. Now something sort of weird here. So you've got like your your giant vase mount, which of course is different on TVs than it is on a monitor. It's much larger on a television set, but there's like a little divot right here. You can see it was like that when I took it out of the box. And then there's like a screw point here, and I kind of wonder if, I don't know. I don't know why that would be like that. There's nothing that came in the box that would, fit over this. I wonder if somebody had it mounted previously and they gave me a used model or something. That would sort of piss me off. But maybe it's supposed to be like that, and maybe there's an accessory they sell separately or something that's designed to kind of rest into that, and it needs that little recessed position for something. I don't know. I'll have to read the instructions. Maybe it's mentioned in there as to why that would be like that. But if not, I don't understand, and it almost looks to me like I said that I'd almost call that damage, but hopefully not. So whatever. To get it out of the box, I found it was easiest to just lean the box forward, kind of at like a, I don't know, like a 20-degree angle or something, and slowly let it slide forward out of the box. And then I actually cut this, this foam sleeve at the center and then just peeled it to the side rather than trying to slide the TV out of that, because again, it just feels like fiddling too much would be kind of dangerous. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I've got my screws. I'm going to screw in the stand. The other part of the stand is right here. It's kind of like my ultra-wide monitor I did that video on recently too, except for on that one. So you see it's kind of a rounded stand, but there's 4 screw points in this one. The previous one I got, that ultra-wide, just had like a thumb screw you could connect with one. But this is obviously much heavier than that monitor is, and so they've apparently decided to go with 4 screw points instead of 1 thumb screw. You have 4 that you actually have to do with a screwdriver by hand. They're all Phillips head screws, so no flathead needed. You need a Phillips head for this, something mid-sized. And I'm going to go ahead next and set it up, and I will get it over on the entertainment center, and we'll start playing with the software options and picture options, and we'll try a movie, and we'll try some games. Be right back. Okay, just so you guys are aware, the long screws go into the foot. The tinier screws that it comes with are used to secure the mount to the back of the television set. If you use the long screws here, you get about a quarter of the way in and you're going to start drilling into the back of your TV and coming out through the screen. So keep that in mind. Don't use the long screws up here. I initially thought that they were actually going to go in that, and I didn't make any attempt to screw them in, but quickly became evident that that was not the case, so just bear that in mind. Another thing that I found that was easier to install the stand was I first added the foot to the stand, then I stood the TV up like I'm on my knees right now. I have it kind of leaning against my stomach, so if you're fat, this will be easier for you. But I have it sort of leaning against my stomach, and then I was able to sit this in and screw this into position. Otherwise, like when it's laying down, the foot being curved like it is, goes below the body of the display, and then it's like it's difficult to get this to secure in and then add screws because it's constantly using, by its own weight, is pushing itself back out. Also, there's no adjustment apparently for this. It appears to be not flexible or anything. It's just the stand is what it is. Once it's installed, it's not going to move. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that was a helpful little piece of information for anybody trying to set this up. Be right back. Alrighty, I'm picking up where I left off last time. Anybody who watched the channel's previous video will know that I received a broken TV last time. So this time we're hoping very much that this is not one. This is not a broken one. We're going to open the box up here in a minute, and we're going to see if there's anything wrong with this one. I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to kind of record it as I take the wrapping off the display to show whether or not it's broken or not. So if I do get another broken one, I'll have proof, and I can just simply go back and tell them to eat shit and die. That said, I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I have it out of the box. This is still got the protective foam stuff around it, which is sort of a pain in the neck to get off without just ripping it like this, because otherwise you're trying to slip it out of it. So far, this one looks like it's in better condition than the last one, doesn't it? No cracks down here anyway. I'm going to pause just a second, get the rest of this off, and we'll verify that there's nothing damaged. Alright, officially, this one currently seems to have 0 physical damage to it. I don't see any cracks. I don't see any deformations. I don't see any anything. So good. All right, I'm going to go ahead from here and assemble the stand and put it together, and we'll see if it works. Hopefully there's no damage to it between now and the time that I set it on the entertainment center. Back in a few.
Okay, wheel button on your remote.
All right, it's on. So at least it powers on, which is cool. So I guess I can pull these things off of here, huh? That's always exciting when you get to take off the last little... God, every time this thing wobbles, I feel like it's going to fall over and I'm going to be out an inordinate sum of money. Ooh, exciting. It's going to be fun to try out Red Dead Redemption on this bastard. I've been playing that a little bit. Pretty fun game. Does not run very well. Even on the 9900K and the 2080 Ti, it's just not running super hot, but you know, whatever. I'm going to sit down here and play with this and get it kind of calibrated, get it set up. Whatever calibration is necessary, I'll play with that. And I'll continue the video here in a minute. I'll probably throw in a movie on the 4K player. And then from there I will probably hook up I gotta bring my desktop back down and hook it up and try some games. So give me a few, we'll get on that. Alright, the TV's up and running. Now I'm using somebody else's video on YouTube as an example, just as an image to display kind of how the backlight of it is pretty black versus, you know, the very colorful, whatever those are. They look like chilies or something like that, or some kind of a plant, but whatever. But there is some, I mean, it's not as black, like it's not as good as OLED in its ability to keep the back black, and then, like, you know, color foreground and lights and colors, you know, being bright. And even though it has full array local dimming, I honestly don't think it works that well. Let's just see if we can give you a demo. So like when I load something, like I shouldn't really be using other people's videos for this, so maybe I can find something on my other channel, just so I'm not using other people's content. That was just an example real quick there, but mostly because it had a good black background. But let's just load up something here. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's try the Terminator. All right, now, let me try going back again. But like when the loading thing comes up, the little icon that spins in the center, let's see. Okay, I don't know how you could see that, but around, it's like a white spinning dots. The loading indicator comes up for a second. You know, from my understanding, what full array local dimming is supposed to do is, like, white foreground letters, black background, for example. It should mitigate as much as possible against, like, bleed over from the white lights. Like, I don't know how well you can tell here, but let's just pull in close on where it says the Terminator. I don't know if that's translating super well to the video, but there is some glow around the word, the letters. It's like it's mild, and like after your eyes have a second to adjust to it, you don't notice it much. But when it first pops up, like, it seems like the local dimming maybe isn't kicking in like super fast, so there is like a delay between when that contrast is created between the super bright, light lettering in this case, or like that play button, for example, is white, whatever. The foreground, bright light lit thing versus the dark background. There's like a timing delay or something with the local dimming fully taking it, doing its thing. And so there's kind of like this bleed over effect. Somebody on Amazon had mentioned it, and they called it like a halo effect or something. I don't think that was quite the right word. I thought it was like they were referring like maybe to like IPS, backlight bleed, because these are IPS panels. This is just like my ultra wide monitor. It has more features, hence the full array local dimming. And it does post processing things like adding like true motion, or what do they call it on this model? It's something different. Yeah, that's right. This thing has got like a little, I don't really like it, but you can do like a remote. It's like it has its own mouse clicker on the remote, but I find it easier just to push the arrow buttons. Anyways, so like I said, there seems to be some slight delay on the local dimming taking effect maybe, but I will say that the black levels on this are still better than the monitor that I have. Full plus some of the content I watched, again, they were other people's videos, so I can't show it to you because I don't want to get a copyright strike or, you know, use somebody else's content without their permission. But like I watched, for example, a demo for Death Stranding for a couple minutes. Man, it looks fucking phenomenal on here. So the next thing I'm going to do, I guess, is I'm going to drag my desktop back down here and hook it up, and we'll try some gaming on here and see how the HDR does on this particular display. Because everything else I've got, this is the only TV I've ever had or display I've had of any kind that supposedly can break 1,000 nits. Everything else I've got is like HDR 400. So we'll see. Give me a minute. I'm going to bring down the desktop. It's pretty heavy and a pain in the ass to do that. So I'll be back in a few. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing here right off the bat is that when I enable or disable HDR within Windows, which normally HDR would get washed out and look kind of shitty, this one ain't doing that. It's still just as bright. You see HDR came on in the upper right hand corner, but there's no degradation within Windows like normally, like I say, it would look kind of crappy. It isn't doing that. It's now looking the same within Windows with HDR turned on. So I don't know if that is a good indicator of how this will work with games one way or another, but we can test some stuff out and find out. So I guess I will start up something like, let's play with Mass Effect a little bit, since that was one of the ones that people had talked about. Give me 1 second. Alright, so this is with Dolby Vision on. It does enable it, and oddly enough, it doesn't work at 3840 by 2160, like the whole screen turns pink, which is interesting. But it is working at, hold on, I forget what the true actual 4K is, 4096 by 2160, 60 hertz. As you can, actually it just says HDR is off, so maybe it isn't working. But it was. Weird. Let me try something here, hold on. I know it had it enabled a second ago, but like I say, it just wasn't working correctly. Let's see, we'll apply that. Alright, so it's ugly. But okay, so it says HDR mode, Dolby Vision. Maybe if I restarted it or something, it would work. I don't know. But this is what it's currently doing, is looking pretty weird. I don't know if there's anything I can do to get that to straighten up. Let's try fiddling with refresh rates. Nah, still doing it in pink. Pretty in pink. Not that pretty. So we can turn it back to HDR 10. I don't think HDR works above that resolution. Let's try it at this resolution here. Okay. Well, it says the HDR came on, so I'm guessing that it does. Yeah. So Dolby Vision works, but not at this resolution, and then it comes in pink. So I don't know if there's a problem with this game's implementation of Dolby Vision, or if Dolby Vision just doesn't work. This, however, looks a lot better. So this is HDR enabled, and it does not look like shit. Now I can turn it off. Let's just do a comparison so we can officially say that the game actually looks decent with HDR enabled. We'll turn it off. I think it might still look better with it off, but we'll see. Actually, it's kind of dark now, which is sort of weird. I don't know if that's just the TV. Probably not pushing the brightness as high. It doesn't look a ton different, but I think it looked a little bit better with it enabled actually this time. So there's probably some truth to HDR working in this game on certain displays. You probably really just need, I mean, this isn't like a top shelf TV, but this is a good mid-range display with enough brightness to actually properly use HDR. Every other freaking monitor out there except for Acer and Asus is, you know, 4K 144 hertz HDR 1000 displays. All the monitors I've got are HDR 400, so they can't really do what they're supposed to do. I will be back in a minute. I'm going to try a couple other games that support HDR. Maybe this has been the problem all along. Kind of wish I just bought a TV like this a while back. I mean, there's been models that have had HDR 1000 for some time to varying degrees of success, but give me a minute. Alright, so here we got Hellblade with HDR enabled. Let's try turning that off. She's making annoying sounds, so I apologize for her making those noises. you know, whatever, that just turns it off basically by turning off the intensity. Confirm. Hold on, how do I apply that? Sorry. I don't know if you can tell much of a difference, honestly, with that on or off. I don't know if HDR is like this massively noticeable thing or not. I'm starting to wonder if I've ever really seen the difference. And like if that's, you know, I mean, like you can see like the intensity of it as it changes. Change the color space. But really, aside from turning it on or off, it's kind of like, who the hell cares? I don't know. Like, this is a great display, so I'm not regretting buying it, and it does make HDR look better on the games that support it than they have on my HDR 400 capable displays. But it's just kind of like, eh. Let me load up Red Dead Redemption here. So this is the calibration screen for Red Dead Redemption 2. They're getting, look at this crap on the left here. Like, it just cuts off the words HDR calibration. Down here it says, like, I don't think you can read it, but it says like adjust this until the logo is no longer visible. That's all hacked off, and there is no logo. There never has been a logo displayed on this screen. Like, there's just, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the hell's wrong. Like, they still don't have their game quite straightened out, but whatever. It's just, it's dumb. But give me a second here, and I'll get this game actually loaded into the game, and we'll see how it looks with HDR turned on. Just something interesting and quick to confirm there. You can see under the resolution, I was running it at QHD earlier. On this screen, it can do QHD at 120 hertz, so you can actually get, you get 120 hertz refresh rate at 2560 by 1440 on this television set. So that's a true 120 hertz. You can run this at for gaming. So if you didn't want to play at full 4K, you can do that, and it'll you can pull those extra frames per second. Pretty nice. All right, one sec. All right, well, here HDR is working. I gotta say, like, I'm not really finding HDR to be particularly all that impressive from one game to the next. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong. I mean, it looks okay on this, but like here, I'm turning on reshade, turning on and off. I mean, it looks better with reshade. You get some vibrancy in the color and so forth, depending on what you turn on or turn off with it. But this is at resolution scaling like 80% in 4K, and I'm only getting like 60 frames a second. And I'm not even running most. I'm running most settings like on high, but I'm with a 9900K and a 1080 or a 2080 Ti. You'd think that this game would run better. It really still needs some more.
Mr. Morgan. Mr. Pearson.
Shut up.
Quite a country. Quite a country.
Yeah, you
know, sometimes
freaking
I'm glad I left the Navy.
Shut up.
Too many men.
Jesus. Anyways, I don't know. I'll keep playing with it. I'm just not that blown away by HDR in some games. It just seems like, I don't want to say it's a gimmick or whatever. I guess that's probably a little bit harsh. I need to try maybe loading up a 4K HDR disc. Like, again, I got Endgame sitting there. I need to throw that into my Samsung player and see how that does. But that said, it's a really nice TV. You know, if you're looking to buy something, I got it for $900. It's normally like $1,100, but it's like they were doing an early Best Buy deal. I'm sure that they're really just cutting the prices and they're pretending it's a sale, but whatever. But you know, I do recommend the TV overall. It's got a lot of good features, but I would say that the full array local dimming isn't amazing as I had thought it would be. Like, there's still a lot of light glow. Like, even when I move the cursor around with a black background, there's kind of like some like white glowing halo effect around it to some degree, which really shouldn't be happening if FALD, you know, local dimming is really working correctly. But appreciate you guys watching the video. Glad we were eventually able to get this done after receiving the bad TV. And let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. Later.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.